This is George Fishman with the Mosaic of Art. I'm speaking with Naomi Wizig, founder of the World Erotic Art Museum in Miami Beach and author of 5 books about her collection. Miss Naomi, as she's affectionately known, has been collecting erotica for almost 20 years, although she didn't really go public until she was a grandmother and a widow. The museum's website is www.weam.com, where you'll find all the pertinent information for your next visit to Miami Beach. Welcome to the Mosaic of Art, Miss Naomi.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to meet with you.
I read that there are approximately 4,000 pieces in the museum. What are your criteria for collecting?
First of all, it has to be a fine piece of art rendered by a legitimate artist or somebody at home who's got a talent as far as the folk art. But it must not just be a sex scene. It has to be fine art for the first criteria. Okay. Then we look at the message and whether it's erotic art or whether it's got pornographic influences, because there's a decided difference. And that is that the pornography only has one message to get it on sexually, and is often degrading to women. But the erotic art is art. You look at the talent of the artist. What message is he trying to give you? How do you feel about it? Does it create an emotional reaction? It's like you would address yourself to any piece of art. So that's the basic difference, and those are the criteria of judging the art. The first criteria it has to be museum quality art.
Well, so do you sometimes find unsolicited pieces coming to you where you recognize that there's a talent, but they're not quite ready for prime time, and you give them some encouragement and ask them to send you an update in 6 months or a year?
Oh, yes. I try and help them. If I feel that it's not quite right for us, I try to encourage them and tell them that they need to address anatomy. They need to address how people are drawn. It's one thing if you are doing something that's impressionistic or surrealistic, but if you're doing something that's supposed to be realistic, then you've got to adhere to the body parts and where the neck should be and where the shoulder is and where the arm is. That's why I think most art students have to take anatomy classes and sketching to see the natural flow of the human body.
Well, you clearly have a conceptual framework for how you go about the decision-making process. There may be times in which something isn't part of the Western tradition of naturalism, but it has some other kind of power to it.
Right. Well, this whole business of acquiring the collection was a complete learning experience for me personally. I was unaware of the pre-Columbian art and the folk art of that's made in somebody's garage or basement or woodshed, or the strange-looking things that I used to pass off. What a crazy picture! But now I realize that there's a whole world of surrealism expressed in art. And it awakened my eyes, and it was a learning experience about these other genres of art, which I really wasn't connected with. So I came to appreciate that something carved simply, but yet it had a great message to it, was important to add to the collection. So we address these things as important to the world of erotic art. It's the message that they deliver.
Did you come to collecting with an art background at all?
No art background at all. I had 1 year of college. There was no specialty yet, no major. What I had was an innate feeling about art and the beauty of things that had been created over the years. My passion and hobby time and spare time was spent in the antique world. I didn't always buy, but I just enjoyed looking at these things and discovering a wide world of talent. So I had a keen eye for searching through mounds of things, looking for what I wanted in the antique world. So it was easy to transfer it over to giving the focus to now I'm looking for things that have an erotic connotation to them.
Okay, so you had, in a way, both the collecting bug and also a sensitivity to form and to the culture from which these antiques derived.
all these things I had experienced, but not with any erotic tendency about it or knowledge of it. I lived in an Orthodox Jewish world where the last thing we spoke about was sex publicly, or viewed it, or displayed it. So discovering the world of erotic art was an entirely new world for me, and it came along just by chance and just by accident. It all came upon me because my son knew I spent all my spare time antiquing, and he had heard you can find erotic art in the antique world, and he was moving into a new apartment, and he asked me while I was looking for my things, would I find him some erotic conversation pieces for his new apartment.
Were you taken aback by that request? I mean, you said that erotica wasn't a part of your world up to that point. How did you take on this challenge?
To me, it was just a natural thing. It was a convenience for him, and it was an opportunity for me to discover new things. But what I discovered is they're not displayed, and I couldn't find them. And I found out later from a dealer that you literally have to ask the dealers, do they have erotic art? We are a particular niche in the art world. Hopefully that niche will grow wider as people understand that erotic art is important. It's been created by artists from day one. It's showing the morality, the sexuality, the historic, the sociological things. It shows the whole world of what was going on while these erotic pieces were being created. They didn't come out of nowhere. They came from a time frame. They came from a culture. They came from a country. They came from an experience. The first piece I found was a painting of a nude woman rising up from a rose. My son just shook his head no. He says that isn't what he wanted. And I said, well, why not? It's a nude girl. So he answered me, it's not hot enough. I want something more sexually oriented. So it's hanging here in the museum, and it's highlighted here and specially framed out because it was the first piece. But he just had a different mindset. So it was a challenge to find something that suited him.
And so you continued your search.
I wound up getting him 3 more items. One was a 200-year-old Japanese shunga book, which were manuals that were given to young couples upon their wedding to show them how to please each other, because it was presumed that they were both virgin upon marriage. So it was really an educational manual, but yet it was done by artists in the most beautiful way. So this first book was a book of 25 beautiful paintings of sexual acts. The second thing was a pair of Chinese etchings. And then the third thing was a small bronze of a menage a trois that was a sexual threesome. So then, after I got him these things, well, I still spent all my spare time antiquing, and I was always on the look.
Well, when you continued purchasing erotica after those first pieces for your son, were you hiding them in your home?
No, I put them out in my home, and I was fascinated by them, and I had the impetus to keep going and to keep buying because I'm always in the antique world. So when people used to come to my condo where the art originally was, they said to me, "You're surrounded by this. How do you sleep at night? Or why aren't you in a perpetual state of excitement and arousal?" And I said, "No." I said, I'm not aroused by looking at the art. I'm aroused by finding another piece to add to the collection. I said, that's the coup, with all that I have, to still find a piece unique and grand enough or good enough to still add to the collection. I said, that's what turns me on.